Welcome back to the CARE Conversations with arts educators and technology. Today we have a teacher from Bukit Panjang Government High,
Yes.
Samantha Lee.
Yes, you can call me Sam.
Okay, hello Sam. And today I'm also joined with Keegan, who's our current degree student. Say hello, Keegan.
Hello.
So this series is looking at how school teachers in our local national schools manage technology, how they integrate technology in the classroom. And Samantha's had some experience with this.
A teeny bit.
A little bit. Well, no, you have. I mean, at least as far as the curve goes, right?
Yes, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
It's okay, you're humble. It's okay.
I'm nervous. But okay. Mm-hmm.
So the conversation today will be about ideation. Now, in an art process, ideation is a crucial part for children to run through permutations and experiment and explore, right? And typically, perhaps you could describe how that's typically done in a classroom pre-technology intervention.
Okay. So normally for that kind of situation where we don't have technology, it's always about sketching, right? Like putting ideas from your head or what you envision onto paper. And it's very much, it is a necessary process, but it's usually limited by the students and skills. Yeah, so it's a bit of a, my school has like two different programs for art. So one is, we call it the general art program, which is the compulsory Sec 1, Sec 2 art that everybody has to take. Everybody has to go through for 2 years. And then we have...
So just to clarify,
yes.
in the general art program, which is our Singapore secondary schools, they are, how old are they now?
13 and 14.
13 and 14 years old. They go through mandatory art classes. So that means everyone has to take visual art in school. Okay.
Correct. So then we also have, our school has a art elective program. So it's a bit more intense. And they start from Sec 1 and they go all the way to Sec 4 and they take higher art as an O-level subject.
Okay.
So
these are for children who have deeper interest and maybe higher ability.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So normally there's like a whole selection process and interviews and stuff like that. So we have those two programs, and generally at the start, let's say in both Sec 1, students find it a bit difficult to ideate because they don't have the skills, or they think they don't have the skills to draw, and thus whatever is inside here doesn't come out the way they want on paper when they draw it, or they try to draw it.
Okay. Okay.
So we would normally push for numbers in that sense. So,
numbers? What do you mean by numbers?
So like quantity-wise, in terms of the sketches. Because if we just say like, okay, sketch, ideate, they'll be like, what do I start? Where do I start? So we say, okay, give me at least 2 variations.
So is that a way of loosening them up in the process?
I wouldn't say loosening them up, because at this point when we do it, it's kind of like a proper class activity already, or it's in the process of creating a final work for a project.
Okay.
So when they do that ideation part, for the GAP lower sec program, we kind of like scale it down a bit because there's also like time constraints. We only see them once a week for like an hour, So if we ask them to do the ideation, we can say, okay, at least 2 variations. And then if you can go further, you go to up to maybe 4 or 6. Yeah, but the minimum is 2. So we kind of teach them that there's, like when you draw or when you do an artwork, there's no such thing as 1 and stop.
Right.
You have to keep going, because you never know whether the next idea comes out better. And even if it comes out worse, at least you know that, yes, I don't like that. And that's why I'm going with this one.
So, just curiously, on the current pre-technological intervention process, what kind of... I mean, you want... It sounds as though you don't want them to just stop at 1. I mean, if I'm hearing you right.
Yes, correct.
What is it that you're trying to elicit from them by doing that?
More of I think that we want them to think in various ways, like more like diversify their thinking. So, like for example, okay, like secondary 1, we have a creature design module.
Okay.
And they are very, we show them examples, of course, before they start. And they are also not limited, okay. And either they are limited or they are aided by what they've already seen or known before. Let's say like boys would know like Godzilla, like Pokemon, or girls too maybe, yeah. So when they see all this, they will eventually do something that might look like something they already know or like.
Okay.
Yeah, and when they do that, you can tell. Then so we try to push them with that variation thing. So we call it variation, so that like, oh, the creature has scales down the back. Then what if the scales were joined into one big fin, or what if it was, what if the scales were smaller, or what if there were no scales at all? Yeah, so then wouldn't that change the look of the creature that you're designing and the purpose of, like, biologically, that purpose for the way that, say, the scales help them, like protect them as armor, or like it affects the way they move, that kind of thing. So we kind of push for that train of thought where what if this was different, or what if you tried that? Then after that, they kind of they should start to think in a wider, a broader sense, instead of just like, oh, I put like fins down the back because Godzilla has fins down the back. Yeah.
So to circle back to what you mentioned earlier about skills, so I imagine one part of what you do is to have a dialogue with them to elicit the evolution and extension of their drawing, right? But what you mentioned earlier is that then the skills potentially holds them back?
Yes.
Okay, could you describe what you've observed, where did you have students who could go but was stuck with the drawing?
Yeah, okay. So we have a wide range of students, right? So now with full SBB, the classes are...
SBB, stands for?
Subject-based bending.
And this is where students have the opportunity to take classes pitched at their appropriate levels?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Except for art. So art is a common subject, meaning that when they get banded into a mixed band class, so like let's say my form class, I think different schools do it differently, but my form class has G1, G2, G3 students, and they are all like mixed, inside Chapalang, right? Then after that, and half the time we wouldn't know what each individual student is taking, which subject at which level.
What their combination of high ability and lower ability classes are. Okay.
Correct. So unless you go and find out, but normally we just see...
How does this factor into the art class?
Because when they're mixed like that, so what we're used to last time is a G1 class, a G2 class, a G3 class. So in the past it was NT, NA, Express, right?
Okay.
So when we taught the Express classes, let's say, we would pitch it at a higher level, meaning that we would try to push for, let's say, 4 variations instead of 2.
Okay.
But then now with that whole mixture and that broad range, we pitch it at 2 instead, and then we see how many of them we can push as far as we can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it changes. Like we need to have, they call it differentiated learning, right?
Yes.
So we put it in the form of the task. Like, if you can get 2, that's great. If you can get 4, that's even better. If you can get 6, that's excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. So now with this full SBB class, we see a whole range of skills. So there are some who are, like, you can tell they are really into art. They've been doing it at home, on their own sketchbooks. They even come to you with like stuff they've done, and they ask for your feedback, But then there are others who are completely not interested, or they think that I cannot draw, so this is just a waste of time for me. Yeah, and up to now, every class I've had a student like that.
But okay. So just asking a question about this. If let's say, for instance, we had a higher ability class, what we used to call as the Express class.
Yes.
I would imagine that within the class, there were some that were intrinsically interested in art,
yes,
and some that were less interested.
Yes.
So you still had variation.
Yes.
And perhaps as a teacher, you would have to do some level of differentiation, maybe.
Definitely.
So how does that differentiation differ from the current situation where you have very mixed ability as an overall?
If I put it simply, it's
Yeah.
just that last time, imagine I had like the ability was, if I put it in numbers, right? Let's say 60 to 80. Now
What's
okay, like if I put a range on it,
like a grade?
like a grade on it,
Like
yeah.
they would typically get 60 to 80.
Okay, no, it's not a grade per se, but it's more like if I say on
The scale of ability.
yes, a scale ability. Let's say it's from 1 to 10.
Okay.
The express class last time, you might get like 6 to 10, right?
Okay,
So
okay.
you still have to differentiate for that 6 and for that 7, for that 8, for that 9, for that 10. But then now it's kind of like you get the whole 1 to 10. So you still have to differentiate, but the differentiation is just a lot more varied and a lot wider in that sense.
So, I understand what you're saying, but I guess if I had to break it down, it's the differentiation. What may differentiate the child's ability is not necessarily their art skills, but how they are generally engaged with school, literacy levels.
I think everything plays a bit of a factor because we do have students who can draw, but
Okay.
they are not interested or they just don't have the motivation to keep up with it. So compared to okay, like if I take the creature design thing as a from what I've seen in my experience, I've had students who are really interested because they love like Pokemon, they love all these things, so they're very engaged, but their skills maybe aren't quite there yet.
Okay.
Versus another student who can draw, and you can tell, like they can tell the light and shading, and then light and shadow, and then when they do like when they create things like textures, like scales, you can tell they are able to like see it and create it in a 3D space on paper, but then they don't have the motivation or the interest to keep doing the scales until it looks as good as it could be. So eventually, when we do mark the work, you can tell that this one belongs to a very engaged student but with less skills, and that one is just very skilled but cannot finish the work.
Okay.
Yeah, so it really, I think a lot of factors play into like their overall
But
learning.
it's now that you're just now with the variety, you're just seeing a larger.
Yes, a larger like spectrum of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So to take it back now to the conversation about technology, and so this. Thank you for giving sort of the background of the scene. What have you tried? What's been happening at Bukit Panjang Government High?
Okay, I cannot speak for my whole art department.
For the art class in Bukit
Yes,
Panjang.
okay. Even for my whole department, but I think I've been trying to incorporate some AI into the lessons.
As everyone is thinking about, yes?
Yes, and also, I mean, okay, the use of technology as well. So, but I think we started this a few years ago where we introduced things like Procreate.
Okay.
So that one is a very, it's just a
Procreate's
translation.
the illustration tool
Yes.
on the iPad, right?
Yes, correct,
Okay.
correct. So that is just like a translation from like paper pen drawing or paper pencil drawing to like a digital, a digital form, right? And that alone, that jump alone, really helps students who, like I mentioned, who don't have that
Motivation.
not motivation,
Sorry, I
but
shouldn't put words in your mouth.
no, not the motivation, but the what do you call it? Like their skills are not there yet, or they need a bit of a helping hand with this technical aspect of it.
So just to clarify, you're saying that children who are not so confident, who are working, who are drawing with Procreate, are you've seen that they tend to gain more confidence?
Yes, with like digital tools.
Why?
Because so I think there's quite a few reasons.
Okay. Why do you think?
The main one, is Control Z.
Undo.
Yes. So the fact that you can like undo a mistake already, we kind of like push that as a you don't have to be scared of the blank page,
Okay.
or you don't have to be scared of making a mistake like with pen, So it's almost like last time when we start them off drawing, they always draw with pencil, right? And then I always have this one project where I will be like, okay, everybody, we're going to use pen today. and then everybody starts panicking, and they like what, like, oh, I cannot, like, what if I made a mistake? And they take like the whole lesson to draw like one tiny, flower, that kind of thing. So the fact that it is undoable,
Yeah.
right, already gives them a huge boost to try out things that they probably wouldn't dare to try before.
Okay.
So they can even, like, anyhow scribble, and like for, let's say, if they're making backgrounds or something.
Yeah.
Then I say, don't like it, then just undo it. Yeah. So it's that part is a huge confidence booster. Like they will go into it without the fear of.
So it
okay, this is
reduces the stakes, I suppose.
in a sense, yeah.
Not so permanent.
Yes. So that is one definite reason that I've noticed why their confidence gets boosted up quite a bit.
Okay.
Then also it's things like the convenience of it, in terms of you have all these tools at your disposal, and it makes processes a lot faster. So instead of like coloring one whole, like let's say if you're doing
You do
illustration,
what do they call
a
it?
drag and drop.
No, what's that tool where I don't know whether they have it in Procreate. What's that tool where you touch the empty space and it fills the entire...
The fill
Fill-
bucket.
fill-
The
fill-
fill bucket.
yeah,
Yeah, the
fill-
fill bucket. The
Yeah.
fill
Is
bucket.
that a
Yeah.
fill bucket?
Yes, Procreate has that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like there's a color symbol at the top, like not symbol, there's like a button at the top that has like, it shows you what color your pen is currently.
Yeah.
And you just drag to that space that you want to fill, and then you just drop, and the whole thing just,
Right.
so it makes processes a lot faster. And so for those with a bit of better understanding of the technical skills it also helps them with their work, because instead of spending 2 hours coloring using color pencil, that process is, sped up by at least half.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is another reason why I feel like it gives them confidence, and
Okay.
they also take very well to it. And then I think the third reason could be online influence, because there are so many artists now engaging in like digital drawing and stuff
Right,
like that.
yes.
And so they follow Instagram artists who use digital art, and then the best part is they screen record what they've done, right, in the process. So when the artists post that up, then they can see the processes of, oh yeah, so you do the flat colors first, and then you do the shading, and then you do the highlights. So it's a very easy way for them to learn for themselves, and then they get inspired because those artists also do things that they like.
Now that you speak of it, I'm curious. I mean, if you come from a certain mindset, and I'd say perhaps, I hate to generalize this, maybe an older mindset, a more traditional mindset, things like drawing and painting on paper and canvas,
Yes.
it would be the kind of art that you recognize as art.
Yes.
And I'm curious, with the 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds that you have, is that notion shifted? That
Art is not just...
that potentially real art resides in digital art, in things that you see on Instagram, versus things that you see in a museum. I'm purely speculating here. And I asked this. I mean, I could be way off, right? But I asked this also because my notion of a phone is one that makes calls as a primary function.
Yes.
And as a benefit, it has text messaging, and as a benefit, it can take photos.
Yes.
Great. And then as a benefit, it can browse the internet.
Yeah.
But a child born, in the last 15 years will see this as a completely different kind of device. It's not
Yes.
a phone anymore.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, the last thing you want to do is make a call with it.
Yes. That's very true.
That's this little stupid function that shouldn't be there anymore.
Yeah. I see.
So I'm just curious about whether real art, and you don't have to answer this if you don't know, it's fine. I mean, it's just a rumination of mine based on what you're saying. Does real art now exist actually on the walls of Instagram and not the walls of a museum? Real art that I want to do,
I think I can answer a bit,
Okay.
just from my experience and what I interpret from the experience and like seeing what students like and do. Kids nowadays, they still have that mindset that real art is in the museum.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's very clear when we teach art, and then they don't see like their Instagram artists as art. Like for some, okay, at least those that I've seen or the students that I've interacted with, they kind of like don't know where to place the Instagram artists.
Okay.
Yeah, because when we talk about art, then we'll ask, okay, what do you know about art? Then they're like, oh, Mona Lisa, Starry Night, that kind of thing. So they still know.
That's the success of our syllabus, right? Because we pounded it into them.
Okay, that one I cannot say for sure. But then when we give them, so I realize this difference because when, let's say, we start doing like coursework based or a bigger project based module for Sec 3s and Sec 4s, then when we ask them, okay, so what would you like to do? You know, like question aside, like just ignore the fact that there's a question. What are you interested in? And then they suddenly get very like, oh, I don't know. There's nothing I'm interested in that I can do. I was like, what do you mean by that, right? And they say, because I don't like all the you know, like I don't want to do oil painting. I don't want to, you know.
They don't like the real art.
Yes, basically all. Okay, not all of them, but some of them. So I've had responses like this, and then they say, oh, what was it like, but I want to do like digital, you know. So and then I'm like, why can't you do digital for your coursework or for your project, you know? And they're like, huh, this one considered art, meh? Like they'll literally say that, yeah. And then so they think things like design. I do a lot of creature design, fashion design, character design, and personally, I am super interested in all this like anime and, you know, fantasy and all that kind of thing. So I'm very for it when the kids themselves like it as well, but they don't dare to ask about it. So but I have to notice things. I notice things like their PLD is their personal learning device. Their PLD screensaver is like some anime that I've watched before. Then I'm like, whoa, is that, you know, is that the guy? Is that the girl? And then they're like, how come you know
you're not
this?
that old anymore.
Stop it. But yeah, so when I notice stuff like that, then I'll be like, so are you interested in like character design? Maybe? And then they're like, I can do that. Yeah. So nowadays it's not so common. But when we first started out, like I think when I first started doing like coursework and stuff like that, it was maybe like, okay, I started about 4 years ago. Yeah, we had to tell the kids that, oh, anything is possible. Yeah, as long as there is a design process or an art process behind it, you can call it art.
Okay.
Yeah. So they like how to say, okay, like my viewpoint is that I also want to broaden the way they think about it, because yes, art is in the museum, but it can also be everywhere else. Yeah, and then design is another thing, right? Because design, it sort of comes hand in hand with art, but it's kind of separate. Like people like to separate it. So I will tell them stuff like, look at the chair that you're sitting on. You know, someone had to design that. Yeah, it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. If not, you'll be sitting on a tree stump. You know what I mean? Because people just like cut that, and then that's your functional tree, right? Your functional seat. Sorry. Yeah. So. Then also things like when you go to the bus stop, then you see the poster there. Someone had to design that. Is that not art in that sense? And then it just comes with a function of, you know, advertising. Yeah. So I kind of want to like when I teach or when they are doing all these big projects, I kind of push the idea that, you know, art doesn't exist just in the museum.
Right.
And I noticed that is what they initially think of at first when you say art.
Okay.
Yeah. Not everybody, but you know, I've had a few.
Keegan, I'm going to ask you because you're in the next generation.
Sorry, that was very loud laugh.
In between
Thanks,
Samantha
Paul.
and her children, right, in the class. I mean, what's your take on what I mentioned earlier about the digital art and the art in museums? Do you have a?
Actually, I think I agree with the I can do that kind of feeling. I guess in between, I guess I was in the transition generation where we are also picking up technology and stuff like Procreate. We are slowly trying to use it. The fact about like anything is possible as long as there's an ideation process or like a design process behind it makes sense. I I also do agree that the first thought of art will be, art is in the museum. Still, I think that's still in our minds, similar to, I guess, all. And maybe it's because of the syllabus. Maybe it's because of the syllabus.
Yeah, we did a good job at the syllabus. Reinforcing Starry Starry Night.
But it's not in the syllabus, is it?
It's not, is it?
It's not.
Primary school syllabus, maybe. Maybe primary school syllabus.
I think it was because
Oh, is it?
people do like the impressionist, scenes.
Okay, I'm thinking of the SOVA syllabus, the study of visual arts.
Oh no.
syllabus.
Okay, this is yeah.
You're thinking of the primary school? Because I'm not too sure.
No, I think it's in the. Well, anyway.
Yeah, so I think the initial interest as well as the passion to like push for a certain design process was very limited in terms of like traditional skills in my generation. Yeah, if we are that different, but I don't think we are. So with digital now, it's a lot more free and like explorative. Yeah, so actually I'm very curious about like the ways that I guess dialing back to technology or like AI, like you mentioned, has sort of like helped you show your learners in a way rather than just like a dialogue or like inquiry questions that actually their ideation process can be much more like broadened or widened. Yeah.
I think for technology, right? I mean, just a very simple thing. Let's say like they're doing a painting composition. Excuse me, sorry. Then things like color schemes. It's so easy now to just like have that same image that you already did one color scheme for, and then apply like a gradient map on it, and then that gradient map will immediately give you like everything changed to cool tones, or everything changed to like a sunset orangey thing. Yeah. So
Wait, what do you mean by gradient map?
so there's a function on the Procreate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That has they call it gradient map, right? And basically what it does, it gives you like sets of colors already pre-programmed inside. So when you apply those sets of colors, and then it will kind of map your
Palette.
yeah, the palette. Like I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but I think it's in terms of like tones. So if they will always have like a light tone, a dark tone, a mid tone, and then they will map it to whatever they find on your actual work. So it works with colors. I'm not sure. I don't think I've done it with or any of my students have done it with a monochrome, like a black and white piece. Yeah. So what it does is once it maps on that colors, your picture can look completely different. Because the colors have been dust changed, and then the sets of like pre-programmed colors they already have a mood, a tone, you know what I mean? So just that alone, they can get like, I don't know, 5 or 6 different color schemes, and they're vastly different in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Versus the last time, what we had to do was we took their sketch and we had to photocopy it for them on drawing block, photocopy a few copies, and then they have to like either color it in or paint it in, you know what I mean? So it speeds up the ideation process so much, and that they know that, oh, whoa, like suddenly there's this change of mood because the colors change. And I think just that part alone is it makes it engaging and fun for them also.
So this
you know
is already. I mean, I'm coming back to the ideation process. This you're narrating part of an ideation process with the assistance of the tool like Procreate.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So now let's come to AI, which is the hot topic
yes.
button right now. What you been doing?
Okay, so I have been using it as an ideation tool.
Can you describe a typical process for a learner in your class?
Okay, so I've done it with 2 different groups.
Okay.
The one is a Sec 1 group, AEP.
Okay.
So they are kind of like a bit higher ability, and they show a vested interest in art. Okay. So for that group, they were already doing a project, and I had the sudden thought to kind of like insert it in halfway through.
Okay.
And this was while they were doing their sketching variations already. So when we did that, we did 2 things. So one was, can you just describe the creature? Okay, they're doing creature design. Sorry, I forgot to mention. But they do it at a more intense level than the Sec 1 GAP. So when they when they did a few sketches. So instead of just 2 variations, like I can ask for like 15. Yeah. So
Okay, so what was your instructions to the learner on how they use GAI to generate the variations?
okay, so they already had some variations, and then while they were doing the variations, I had the thought like, oh, why not I try
And the
inserting the AI in?
variations were Procreate variations or hand-drawn variations?
Hand-drawn.
Hand-drawn variations.
I did have 1 or 2 students who did what do you call it? Like they had their own iPads at home
Okay.
already. Yeah. So, but most of it is okay. Even in Procreate, is also like how to say they use their hands and draw. Like
Okay.
it's still sketchy.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
not like a finished piece or anything. Then
So did you jump the gun a little bit? So did they feed in the image into a GAI to analyze and do permutations? They
yes.
did.
So
Or was it prompt based?
so I did both with
Okay.
them. So I kind of like I did the image one first since they already had their.
What platform were you using?
I used
DALL-E, Midjourney?
I used Night Cafe.
Okay.
Yeah, because it has a few what do you call it, AI models that you can try out, and
Right.
they give like very different styles and very different what do you call it, very different outcomes. Yeah, so I tried with that, and they have been okay. So when they uploaded some of the sketches, right, just getting them to document because it was on paper. So getting them to document the sketch and then like crop, fix the lighting so that the pencil marks are clear, that kind of thing, was already a process.
Okay.
And then after that, when they fed it in, like I think the thing about AI is that you can never predict what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of came out like some of them came out really cool.
Okay.
And then some of them didn't. Yeah. Or like they kind of took the what do you call it? Like the lines in the sketch and they went their own way with it, so it doesn't look like a creature anymore. Yeah. So it had kind of like mixed results. Then later I kind of tried to get them to include some text prompts. Like, so okay, you have your sketch, right? Then if you're doing like a creature, I had one girl, she did like a little weasel otter like thing, and then she wanted it to be shiny and iridescent. And I was like, why don't you just use those words like that you told me? So I gave her some prompting words as well. Yeah, and then after that, some of the stuff came out quite nice. Yeah, and it is very. I think it kind of like, oh, so it can look like that, you know. And usually because AI is rendered quite well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So short of all those like extra limbs and extra hands and all kind of funny things, but the render is always quite like finished looking. So when they see it, they're like, oh, so this is what it could be. And then there are others who disagree with it. Like there were some kids who were like, what the, you know, like it doesn't even, it's not what I had in mind, it's not what I wanted. Yeah. So because they already had their sketches out, it was a bit of a mixed bag, I feel, like the outcomes.
So just to jump in, for those who saw opportunity of what it could be, where do they take it from there then? Or how do they, what could they take away from there?
So my instruction for that was everybody had to save their AI images and include it in their process journal, and then try to find something that they liked about it and kind of take that aspect and include it into their design sketches. So
Okay.
yeah, so let's say if you like the fact that for some reason the AI misinterpreted your arms for the creature as wings, and then isn't that like a next level up idea? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's something that you didn't think of, but it is something you like now that you know it. So then you take that and then you put it into your actual sketch. Yeah. So that was my instruction to them. Not all of them did it, and I said like, if you don't want to use the AI, that's totally fine, but can you give me a reason? So they had to, like, they were supposed to write down or at least explain to me why they didn't like this image generated, and that's the reason why they are not using any of the ideas inside. Yeah. So I kind of wanted to get them to articulate, like, you know.
So for the students who were frustrated, and I understand the frustration because sometimes you want to make a little image for somebody on a certain theme, and then you enter all the correct keywords,
Yes.
and it doesn't turn out that way.
Yeah.
Actually, I had one that was quite recent. I should tell you about. But anyway, where do they go from? I mean, what do they do? Did they choose to abandon this approach and revert to doing it themselves?
So I told them they have a choice because during the class we all made accounts for that program, for that web page. So I said if you are keen on it, or even if like this outcome is not what you like, because we did a few trials I think during the class, and I said if you are interested, you want to try more, please go ahead, go home and continue with this, and then put it into your visual process journal. But then if you really don't like it and you think that okay, I can do better, then I would say go ahead with that as well. There's no right or wrong. But then because before we did the ideation process, we also went to do research. So meaning that they had to go and research on actual animals or actual creatures, not actual creatures, sorry, like fantastical creatures, like for ideation, for inspiration, sorry. So I would say my main thing to them is that wherever your inspiration comes from, or your ideas come from, try to get them from somewhere first. Because they are a bit young, and whatever ideas they can come up with, right, and I'm very blunt about this, will never be as good as what is already out there. So it is up to them to, like filter out things that they like, things that they don't like, and then they go and mash them together or mix and match, and then they find out, oh, okay, this works, this doesn't work, and I like this or I don't like this, and think about why. Yeah, so for the AI part, it's also just another tool in that sense. It gives them images, it gives them options, but it's not like a compulsory thing.
And it's a little bit more targeted to their work.
Yes, correct, because they can prompt it. Yeah, so it's not like I said, you cannot just take the AI work and post that as your final work, you know what I mean? So it's still like finding an image on Google or on Pinterest, but at least this time you can try to say like, oh, I want a dragon with red wings and black feet, I don't know what, you know what I mean? So it's so instead of spending hours scrolling on like a search engine, you can try to tell the search engine, I'm looking for this, and then you see the results that come out from it.
So one of my potential reservations have been about the risk to imagination. And yet, with what you're saying to me, in the beginning of this conversation, you talked about how skills can perhaps inhibit a child's propensity to generate ideas because they are potentially dissuaded by the lack of ability.
Yeah.
And what you're saying to me challenges some notions that I've had, that it actually shows them opportunity more than anything else. It also sounds that it allows them to keep generating, but doesn't necessarily solve the part of how they can achieve a nice, polished final product.
Correct. So like you said, it's basically opportunity, right, and inspiration. Like, since I started on the Night Cafe app, I have to thank another teacher for that because she introduced it to us during one of the workshops that I went during the art teachers meeting.
You can name the teacher. It's okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot her name. I'm very bad with names. I'm sorry. Okay, that's why I shortened my name. But yeah, so it's. I'll find out. Okay, I'll find out. But yeah, but it was very inspirational for me. I mean, I've been using technology a lot already in classrooms, but this specific app that she introduced, or web page, it has a whole community of AI artists, so-called. Okay. And AI art has a very bad rap, right? Because they think that it steals from other artists, and it's not real art, right? Not hand-drawn. So it used to be like digital art wasn't real art, right? And then now it's AI art that is like under fire. Yeah. So after joining this community, I never had a very strong opinion about AI art in the first place, but after joining this community, I feel like it is very, it's actually really fun. And as someone who, let's say, someone with limitations, meaning like I have time limitations that now, okay, as a teacher, I don't really have time to do my own art. Or someone else who might have the limitation of I don't have the skills or I don't have the training or to do art, even though that's not like I know it's not an excuse, but at the same time, like I've never made so much creative images in the span of like the past.
This is you personally?
Yes, this is me personally. So as a student who doesn't have that, who is already dissuaded by the fact that I can't draw, or I will never be able to get as good as that. The fact that you can generate images from this, and it's images from your mind, it's a huge like stepping stone. You know what I mean? It's a tool that they can use, and the important part in this, right, is the ethics. I think like AI is seen as bad because it steals. Okay, that one is like a whole another argument.
Do you think it steals?
I think it does in a way because it has to get its like input from somewhere, right? And okay, this is gonna be online. There's another thing altogether. But what I do for my students is that we will never use AI art and claim that it's not AI art.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So if you use it as a ideation or for inspiration, then you need to mention what is where you got it from, which program or model you used, what prompt you put in. You know what I mean? Because then it becomes very transparent. Like,
Okay.
yeah, this is not my work. I didn't paint or I didn't render this. Then if let's say you did a sketch and you put the sketch through AI, then yeah, the sketch is yours, but AI did the rest of the work.
So, I've struggled a little bit with the act of stealing, because I hope I have a full grasp of how the AI and its models work. But if AI is stealing, then when we attend an art lesson and going to gallery visits and museum visits and looking on Google, we are also
Stealing the idea?
well, we're not stealing. I mean, of course, we're not blatantly. We're trying to steer towards not blatantly copying, but we're learning. We're picking up styles that we like,
Yes.
and very often, especially if you're a budding artist, secondary one, secondary two, what you're trying to do is you're trying to emulate, right?
Yes.
And you see this artist do something, and then you like do the same thing.
Yes.
So, I guess. In one viewpoint, I see the AI as no different from a young budding artist saying, "Yeah, I've seen all these things." Of course, because it's a machine, it's seen millions of images,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And with a prompt, it's able to say, "Okay, I can make something for you in the style of."
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I guess also the community that's most frustrated are the ones who make art.
Yeah. Definitely.
With digital media
Yeah.
only, and their stuff has to exist in digital form and usually online.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I mean, I totally get why they're angry as well. But I think in this, like, it's up to the users to be transparent about it. Like if you're using it. Like, okay, so there's a lot of flack coming from like the online art community, especially they like to like nitpick at the artist's work. Like they'll look at one Instagram account, and then there are people who go and I watch videos where people go and like, oh, the hands look wonky, or this looks funny, or like so then they say it's probably AI art, and then everybody starts like bashing the artist. So in that case, okay, I'm who am I to say whether whether the artist use AI or not? Because only the artist will know. But if you are an artist using AI art, then I just think you should be transparent about it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if you aren't if you have nothing to hide, then and you use it for inspiration or something, then yeah, I think that's totally fine. Because the fact is, if you hit the fact, if you hit the tools that you use, or if you took another artist's work and then you traced over it, then that's kind of sneaky. You know what I mean? So
this reminds me of a conversation I've had with other artists, and this is going some time back, I had done an artwork where sorry, it's not my artwork. It was a colleague's artwork. I've taken his artwork as mine. No, I'd done my colleague had done an artwork and printed on canvas.
Okay.
And it looked convincingly like it could be painted. With such fine brushstrokes that it could not be seen, I mean, because there's no brushstroke.
Yes.
Right? And another artist sort of said, "What technique did you use?" Because it was on canvas.
Yes. Oh.
And she asked this person, and he looked at her like, "It's printed." And this other artist could not get her head around that there was this image on canvas that was actually generated by a machine. I mean, through printing.
Yes.
So and at that time, I know if you did an artwork that was printed on canvas, it's kind of like third class, because second class is a drawing, and the first class is a painting. And so,
so if you did a digital drawing and printed it on a canvas.
Oh, that's, yeah. Do you have any follow-up for?
But I think, I just think that overall you want to?
It's okay.
Yeah. No, I think overall, if the thing about it is, it's a bit iffy, right? Especially if you're an artist in the community. But the important thing is, like every other piece of technology out there, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like you can use it for good and you can use it for bad. So if you use it for good, then you just need to be very open about it. That I didn't do this myself. I might have come up with the idea, and I might have prompted the AI, but I didn't render this. It's not my skill. Yeah, because after being on the app, it's very difficult to get a good image. Like it's very difficult. Like I can go through 20 and all of it costs credits. Like you can buy it with actual money, or you can wait for like some websites, they give you like every day you get 5 free credits. Then out of that 5 credits, you can use it to create the art. One piece of art can be like a 0.5 credit, or it can be 1 credit, or there are some with very advanced models that cost you like 4 credits. So with that, like I can spend so much credits on just that one image that I'm trying to get out. And it just doesn't look the way I want it to, or it doesn't look good even, because there's like extra hands, misplaced limbs, that kind of thing. And it's very it's not easy. It's not as easy as people say. Like you type in something and then the image just magically comes out. It's not magical at all, to be honest. Like it's frustrating. Yeah, so I can understand why the kids, after they tried like 2-3 times and then they just like, this is not what I want, and then they don't have the motivation to try more of it, because they think that this is going nowhere. Yeah, but I can tell you, like just the day before, just this morning, I was on the app and they have daily challenges. So the challenge was, the theme was centaurs. And for the life of me, I could not get a centaur. I kept getting horses with like 5 different limbs. Yeah, it's so frustrating. I spent so much credits this morning before I came here. So so thinking that it's as easy as, I enter in something, and they have a lot of options to in-paint. In-paint meaning like you can select a section and be like, I want to get rid of this flower, or I want to add glitter here, something like that. You have to do that, and that also costs credits. So and you have to prompt the in-painting. You have to say like negative prompt, remove extra hand, that kind of thing, or like not remove extra hand, I don't want that there, or seamless background, like remove clouds, that kind of thing. So you still have, there's some sort of thought process going through it, and it is kind of like making art, but just much simpler and faster. But it's not
not
easy.
necessarily, right?
Yeah, not necessarily, correct. So it's also like, are you happy with the first image you generated, or if not, then would you want to bother trying to, get the image that is in your head out? Yeah. So it's very much up to the model and kind of luck, like whatever you get. And they also have different seeds for generation. So I'm not exactly sure how this part works, but I know that if you create one artwork with one seed. You create 4 artworks with the same seed versus you create 4 artworks with different seeds, you get very different outcomes. So the seed kind of like all your 4 artworks will be similar if it's one seed. But then if you have 4 different seeds, then your 4 artworks will come up in very different styles or variation.
Sorry, a seed is
It's like
a token, like a payment token.
It's not a payment token. I don't know how to explain this part because I don't know the science behind it. But they will tell you, they explain it for the layman on the site that use the same seed for all creations, or you can use different seeds for every creation. So if you use a different seed, it just tells the program that you want varied outcomes.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that sense, the whole process is very like it's how far you want to take it. You know, and you don't have to, like for the kids, because it was like a one activity, one lesson thing, if they liked it, they would continue. I had some boys who actually went home and then they started their own accounts and then they started posting and publishing their works and everything. So it's like I can tell they took to it, and then they'll come and show me their you know. So but then I have others who and then they just kind of give up on it. So it's very much you as the user, what you plan to do with it lah. Yeah. And like I said, important thing is the ethics. You just need to be very transparent about it. Like don't go around telling people that you did this, because obviously at any level, like a 13-year-old would not be able to produce that. Yeah, you know, and people can tell also. So it's just best to be transparent about it. Like you can use it for good, you can use it for bad. Yeah.
Then, you know, in that case, I'm curious about human creativity. So, okay, this might get a bit deep, but hear me out, right? So, let's say I am a more traditional approach. I have a more traditional approach to art, right? What's the difference in that ideation process, or like the thought process that I have, right, when generating a composition is I have to have different elements, I have to fill this paper up in a certain way. But now with Gen AI, I know that I'll get a rendered image. I know that whatever prompt I put in, I will get a complete image, a full image. And let's say if I don't reference or take it wholesale, right, and I just reference it, my thought process towards art, or like my ideation, will be different. So what do you like think that difference is, or what have you seen in your learners that are different?
Okay. I think that is a very good question, because I've noticed that I think that the AI, or any image to be honest, is there to help draw some response or give the students some inspiration. So whether it comes from something that they already have seen, and then that's where they get the idea from. Because they like to argue. My students like to argue with me, in a good way. But they will be very adamant about not using references. So don't even talk about AI, just references. I've had arguments with Sec 4s. I don't think they'll watch this, but if they watch it, they'll know it's them, because they've been like pushing back at me the entire year for the whole time I've taken them. Is that they don't want to use reference. They'll keep
this before AI.
Even before AI. So don't even talk about AI, just references. So certain things, like when I think as art teachers, slowly you get experience, right? You look at one work, you can tell that there's something off with the arm or the leg or the anatomy, you know? And when I'm like, did you find reference for this? Is there reference for this? And then they're like, no.
So what kind of references are you requiring from them?
So to be honest, any kind. But
references as part of an ideation process, or or are you talking about visual first-hand observation references?
Both.
Both.
So if we talk about the very first side, object studies and stuff like that. If you're going to draw an apple, go and get an image of an apple, or go buy an apple, and then or take a photo of the apple at the supermarket. There's so many ways you can get references, even if you don't want to spend money. Then, but they will just draw from imagination, or they'll be like, I know what an apple looks like. I was like, you don't, like, it's, you know what I mean? You think you know what an apple looks like, but when you draw it, if you want to draw it realistically at least, you will never be able to draw something as good as something you can see, right? So, same with humans, same with objects, same with anything. And it's like, what was it? Like, I use the what was it? You learn the rules before you can break it. Learn the rules first before you can break it. Like as an artist or something. I think Picasso said something like that. Sorry for my lapse in memory. But yeah. So I will tell the students that at this age, or even for some of your art teachers like me, I can't do without reference. If you want something to look good, you need to find that reference. And AI is just one way you can find that reference. You know? So whether it's to get compositional ideas, or whether it's like you already have your composition but you just need to find lighting reference of, let's say, like if you're sitting in front of a window, then how would the light hit you, and you happens to be raining the whole week and you can't find light, you can't find sun, you know, to take that photo. So it's just one way to get that how do you say, to push your art to the next level, if you're talking about skill rendering and all that, you know. So for when it comes to like them losing out on certain processes in their thinking, I think definitely there will be some lapses or some changes, because you are not the one who came up with that composition, let's say. An AI did that for you. But at the same time, there still needs to be some critical thinking in which part do I use, or which part do I like, and then when I use it, does it work, does it not work? You know, so it kind of really speeds up the process. And for kids who are stuck, like really stuck, I feel like it's an invaluable tool, because it helps them to like, they don't have the artist block, so-called. There's you know what I mean, like if you type in a prompt and then the AI gives you something, it's something you can work with, or it's something you can choose not to work with. Then that choice is already okay, but then how can I make it better? So if they give you one composition with like foreground, middle ground, background, then you don't like any of it. So I'll tell the kids, you don't like any of it. That's totally fine. Tell me what don't you like about it? And they can say, oh, the girl is too close to the front. And I was like, okay, that means you can try pushing her back, you know, or like the trees are too crowded in the background. Then what if we remove some trees? So even as a negative thing, like they don't like it, something can come out of it, you know. Like they definitely shouldn't take it wholesale, but they shouldn't be using it blindly either. Like they take it as a you know, like a visual literacy thing, and then they realize, oh, this is why I like it, or this is why it works, this is why it doesn't. Yeah. So
you go through that process with them to talk about being able to discern.
Yes.
This is baked into your class.
This would be, okay, I will do a very vague one, meaning like a very, okay, so one example is this, you know, then if you try this, you don't like it, then ask yourself why you don't like it, you know. So it's quite like for the whole class thing, especially if it's a lower sec. But then individually, I'll still go up to them, especially for upper sec, because you have like consultations and stuff, right? Then you can start to question them a bit more, like, what is it you don't like about it? And you know, what can we do about it once you know you don't like it? Or what can we do about it once you know you like something? You know? So even if I think this process is the same for all kinds of like references and art, to be honest. It's not just the AI. Yeah.
So if we're talking about like them moving on from the fear of like starting or like having to develop a composition on their own, right? And it moves on to more of like refining or editing. I guess that confidence or like interest that we mentioned at the start is now there for everyone.
It should be.
So how is
Not
this?
always.
Like, have you seen like a increase in like their interest towards art, or like they're more engaged towards art?
I think it helps, but okay, let's say for like the lower sec one, we don't do it prolonged enough for me to see any like for me to see any like fixed, like definite results in that. The upper sec, they don't really, okay, they are also, because they're a bit older and I think they've seen more things, they are quite averse to using AI because of things that are going on the internet. Like they get a very, like,
because they can be branded negatively, right?
Yes, correct. Like it has a very bad rap, and sometimes I have to force it. This year, if I can say, my Sec 4s didn't want to use. Like they just didn't. So I was just like, okay, that's fine. You know, it's up to you. If you can find a similar reference on Pinterest or something that you can use, then please go ahead. Or even, you know, don't go online. Just get your friends to pose for that scene that you want to do, which they didn't do until the end. Like I tell you, it's a hard battle for me in reference. Okay, like if you ask them, they will be like, yeah, that's the main thing. Everything do you have reference for this? Do you have reference for this? Yeah, so but for others, it's, I can see it with, let's say I remember the Sec 1 boys who actually tried to, like, they've done more creating past the lesson. So I definitely see a
difference in accepting.
yes. And you can tell it's fun because it's very instant, you know what I mean?
So, hearing you speak about how this AI tool has been used in an ideation process, have you seen a different kind of effect on how the end products are? Are you able to tell at this point in time whether the end products have improved in quality, same, or has the merit been just deeper engagement for some?
Okay, the deeper engagement for some is definitely there. As for the product, I think it really depends on when you introduce it to them. Because, like for my Sec 1 class that I did, I introduced it when they already had ideas down.
Right.
So I feel like the outcome would be very different if they had absolutely no idea and then they took ideas from the images that AI generated.
Okay.
You know? So, and some of them, okay, I wouldn't call them stubborn, okay? But I mean, they have their own choice and I will never enforce like, if I think the AI looks nice, I won't be like, use the fairy wings from the AI. I wouldn't say that, you know? Because it's ultimately their design. So you make the choice. You decide if you want to use this or not. And when they already have the idea there, or they have a few variations that they have drawn, they will be like, maybe make a small change. Like, I've never seen like a very big change yet.
Okay.
Mainly because, but it does help with things like posing, because it does create a whole scene. It's not just like, you don't just create one sketch, you know, of like, if it's like a tortoise, then the sketch should be tortoise shaped, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the AI creates a scene unless you ask it not to.
Yeah.
So it gives them a lot of ideas and context. So I had some whose works came out like I can't remember what it was, but it was supposed to be like an underwater creature. But for some reason, the AI came out with this like hellfire scene, like it was in the middle of a volcano, and then everything was red. So then she was like, "This is completely not what I wanted." I'm like, but it still looks kind of cool, doesn't it? And then she's like, yeah, you know. So it does.
So did the student? What did the student do with it? I mean, did he or she run with it, or?
From what I remember, because
Yeah.
this was quite earlier on, she took a bit of the. I noticed that in her story, because we always ask for like a concept or a story, and she did write some thing about how it was born in a volcano, but it ended up underwater. But there was no sign of the fiery thing in the designer. So I was like, oh, okay, you know. But I noticed that, and I don't want to say it's from the AI, but we did talk about it. So it's yeah.
So
Can't really say for sure that one.
Okay. So at the end of this entire process, do you think the quality levels stayed the same, just as a general feel?
Okay, quality in terms of.
Yeah.
Because
we'll have to go back to your assessment criteria.
Okay, no, because when I say that, right, the good thing about AI is that it provides all this inspiration and all that, but in the end, their skills are still necessary.
Right.
So, short of them tracing the AI, which we definitely try not to ask them to do, they will probably never get as refined a finish as whatever the AI has given, whether they have taken ideas from it or not. You know what I mean? So
I'm
in
curious,
terms of quality,
is there, do you think there's a possibility of despondence from a student that you know that your skills will never get you to the photorealistic HDR, look of what the AI generates?
So far, I think no.
Okay.
Because they are aware, I think most of them are aware that anything they see on the internet is like, you know, it's done by other people, it's done by artists. So there are some photorealistic artists who have that skill, but they generally don't compare themselves in that way to the things they find on the internet. if anything, I find them comparing themselves to each other more.
Okay.
So if there's one like really skilled student in class, then everybody will compare themselves to them, you know. But they won't be like, they'll be like, whoa, you know, like, oh, he did such a good job. And then wow, so nice, everybody clap, everybody give feedback, everything. Then it's like, wow, we could never do as nice as him, that kind of thing. I'm like, then they'll make this kind of comment. But I've never heard it being said about, I'll never be able to make as nice as that Google image. Or, you know, so it's very much like they can see the person making the thing, or they see their friends making the sketch or the drawing, and then they can see the skill.
So that's interesting what you're saying, that their measure of success is benchmarked against their immediate peers.
Yeah, from what I experienced.
From what you're observing.
Like I've never heard anyone like look at the work and be like, I could never do
I'm
that.
not Vincent Van Gogh.
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
so sad. Yeah.
Correct. More like I would never paint as well as, you know, Xiao Ming or something, like someone in class basically. Yeah. But there are students who, let's say when they get to Sec 3 or Sec 4, when we ask them to choose like artist inspiration, or they need to get artist references, you know, to start on a project, then they do have that. They won't be so outright like, I will never achieve that level, no. But we will just ask them, don't care about what is going, like, okay, at your current skill. Just pick artists that you like. So that's my advice to everyone. Like, it doesn't matter whether you can reach that or you cannot. Because from the artist, then we need to analyze what is it about the artist or their artworks that you like, and then how can you incorporate it into your own style. So it's not about reaching that photorealism, but for some reason, for all you know, right, that photorealistic artists, you could like them because of their composition and not so much of the skill. Yeah. So it's more like that part needs a bit more critical thinking. Like they have to think about why I like this or why I enjoy this style. So if it's something like what do you call it? Like, okay, Muka, right? Like Alphonse Muka. So it's very intricate, and I like that style. A lot of girls like that style, right? Because of all the flowing hair, or you know, all the filigree and all that stuff. So when you look at it, there are kids who, I chose this as my artist because I like it. But can I be honest? I don't think I can do it. Like they tell me that, and I'm like, but you don't even know what you're going to do yet. How can you say you don't know that you can't do it? So then we ask them to look for at least like 4 to 6 artists, and then from there they break down why is it that you like this artist? Is it the flowing composition? Is it the soft watercolor? Is it the you know, the energy that comes from the line of action, something like that? So once they break it down, then they're a bit like, okay, it's a bit more manageable. I can like kind of combine this artist, this part and this part from that artist, and then I find my own style. Yeah. So similarly, like okay, so this is for upper sec because they do need to find artist references. But for lower sec, they're just like, you know, like they will see it as like, oh, it's a very nice image, wow, so cool, but they don't get despondent like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
I guess the final question I have is like, like when do you incorporate AI? You know, you mentioned like when our students already have ideas, or like when they are completely blank and fresh, right? Does this sort of affect like the approach that you will take towards their like thought process that you want them to have towards art in that sense?
Okay, I think I forgot to mention my other class that I did AI with. I think it's a good time to bring up because they're very different. This is a Sec 3 G1 class. Okay. So according to them, 4 out of 7 of them don't want to be there. Okay, like according to them lah. So I take everything with a pinch of salt, and if they can give me some form of artwork every lesson, I'll be like quite happy already, which doesn't happen all the time. So I have a few kids in that class who, okay, their skills are not the best as well. And I don't think it's for a lack of trying. Sometimes they do try, sometimes they get playful, but they do try. Then when it comes to thinking about, you know, like if I'm going to do a full project, let's say for the portfolio or something, then what can I do? I can't draw, I can't do this, I can't do that, you know? So this is where I think the AI is quite important, because I told them, you want to try this. And the fact that AI, okay, let's say the AI is already a non-drawing, non-hands-on kind of thing, they're really like, okay, I don't mind trying, as long as I don't have to pick up a pencil. yeah, so it's quite like I'm just trying to find a way for them to make art and for them to like to get interested in art, you know. So even if, like I said, a lot of people are consumers of art even if they cannot draw, you know. So as long as I feel like as long as you leave my class with the mindset that, yeah, I might not be the best at drawing, I tried a bit but I might not be the best, if I'm interested in it, like I'll still continue viewing anime as art, you know. I'll still continue viewing, like, let's say, special effects design as art or design, then I would say that is a step up from when you came into my class not wanting to be here at all. Yeah. So for them, I got them to do AI. I think 2 or 3 of them to go and do AI, and so it wasn't the whole class. It was like everybody doing your individual projects already. Then when they did it, language is another thing that comes into play because of the prompting. So if you can't like sketch for the AI to do something with it, then your language has to be a bit stronger, which is a variation also lah.
Yeah.
You know, so they come up with their like sometimes, okay, the thing about the AI, right, is that no matter how detailed your prompt is or how simple your prompt is, you will always get a result. So they can write in 2 words, turtle building, and then it came up with a giant turtle coming out of a building, you know. And I was like, is that what you were going for? He's like, no, but it's cool. Then I'm like, okay. You know. So at least I found engagement in that sense. And this was at the very start because they really had no idea and they didn't even want to pick up a pencil. So for then there was another boy who currently he is doing he did all the AI stuff. He did a few versions, and I had to encourage him to keep going, and they don't just like one image and that's the final image. There's no such thing. So when let's say we're preparing stuff for like portfolio and process journal, then I told him you have to save all the prompts and save the model and everything so that we are very transparent about it, that you didn't come up with this, but you came up with the thought of it, you know. And then after that, it translated to, like, they still don't want to pick up a pen or pencil, so it went on to, how about let's try photo manipulation. Yeah, and then that was easier. So because they thought, okay, it's like collage, right, photo collage, but the composition is there from the AI. So can you try maybe recreating this, but with with your own spin?
Yeah, I was thinking that photography actually is another potential lure.
Yes.
For want of a better word.
Yeah. So I had one kid doing photography and another one doing photo manipulation. And then the photography one, there's also editing involved, like photo editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not so much the manipulation. So the manipulation one has more like compositional skills coming in.
Right.
And that's where the AI gives the inspiration.
Right. And actually, as you're saying, the photography can be an entry point into using this tool. So, do you have further question? So, I mean, it's been an interesting conversation, and it's been an interesting conversation understanding how for one of a more thorough description, you're using it as a lure, using it to get buy-in. You're using
A
it
bit of that, yes, definitely.
to uplift people who are who don't want to be there, as opposed to end product.
Yes,
At least the GAI for end product. So what's the next experiment for you? Have you thought about that? I mean, you don't have to make it up now. I mean,
no, because I'm working with Keegan for his research, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking of a few other classes that I can incorporate this in.
Okay.
Which is also the what do you call it? The creature design thing that I told you about. That one was for the AEP, right? So I'm thinking of incorporating it for like more of the mass public, like all the Sec 1s who have to go through the module. But I said because of the timing of when I inserted the AI, I think that would definitely make a difference. So now we might be thinking of trying different time. frames, and how far do we want to push it? Like we could just do it as a 20-minute break in one lesson, or we could do it for like 2 lessons,
Okay.
Like how far is that? Like we're still considering. Yeah.
Okay, because
Then,
right now you're using it as a sort of a kind of start. I mean, I know in practice you did it as a midpoint,
for that one.
For that one.
Yeah, for that one.
but otherwise it's meant to be a bit more of a starting point, right?
Yeah, like if I had thought about it earlier, I would have, put it in at the start.
Okay.
But at the same time, like what Keegan said, it could definitely like affect the way they like the images would definitely influence the way they think already of the design. So
Okay.
I feel like it's also good that they had their own sketches first before letting AI come in to help out a bit.
Correct.
But then it depends on the students as well, right? Because if they are very fixed on like, I like my design, I like this design, then I'm not going to change it no matter what. Then if they have that kind of mindset, then it's also very difficult to change. Yeah, but it helps. I think it helps different students for different things.
I suppose
Yeah.
if you feed it in, you could use AI to add to show a level of finish of what they like,
Yes.
right?
I kind of put it as a because now all of it is sketches, right? The AI can give you textures.
Yes, yes.
So tell the AI like, do you want scales? Do you want feathers? What kind of feathers you like? What kind of colors you want? Then do a bit of description, So that kind of helps a bit at the midpoint because it has like you said, it gives them like a finished goal. But then again, that goal shouldn't be like entirely copied wholesale. It has to be still an inspiration, as to what you could come up with further down the road.
Okay.
Yeah, but starting with, let's say, if next year we are doing something with the Sec 1s, then, we were thinking of where to put it in. And then, it could have a very different outcome. And also, like, how long we want to drag it out, right?
Okay.
Because if it's like everybody set up an account, okay, make 1 image or make 2 images, then that could be like a one and off thing. It might not affect them at all.
Correct.
Yeah, but if we kind of like push for, I want to see everybody's like a whole spectrum of things, like at least 10 images, then that could have a different outcome.
And I also note from what you're saying that you have a somewhat of a light touch on the students' use of this, meaning that you're not forcing everyone that they must do it. You're still appreciating the diversity
Yes.
of their preference in working.
I mean, for the classes, I would definitely say everybody should try it.
Okay.
Right? So you can only know whether you don't like it or like it after you try it. So if you say, I don't want to do it at all, then I'm going to say no. Because how do you know it won't be like a positive?
And this is when
Yeah,
they had
they-
to write and say why they weren't going to integrate this design or
Yes.
in the earlier example that you
Yes,
gave.
correct. Because, I mean, to be honest, that class never objected to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Then, I did a slightly longer time. I think I spent maybe like 3 or 4 hours with this one class doing AI. This is the same class, the 7 of them who don't want to be here. Okay, who half of them don't want to be here. We were doing fashion design.
Okay.
And they did their own, but instead of get them to draw, because like I said, drawing is a very, like we started out sketching and it was very varied in terms of the results.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a very short lesson, meaning that it was like a 1 or 1.5 hours that they did the sketching. And then, but my plan was the sketching was always just a trigger. They just needed to sketch shapes. And then they were going to do like fill in the shapes with magazine collage.
Okay.
Yeah, so that it will become like, how do you say, like it looks like very avant-garde, then very like it breaks the shape of the body and everything.
Okay.
So and plus because the magazines, the images and textures printed on the magazine are already like nicely like photographed, rendered, it will definitely look more finished than any sketch they could do.
Because it automatically adds color and textures
Yeah,
to it, right?
correct. So we did that, and then after that, I went through a whole. So just some context. I went through a whole process of them like looking at each other's work, saying, why does it look nice? Why don't you like it? Why do you like it? As a fashion critique, you just as you explain as an artist, as a designer, what this reminds you of maybe. So it wasn't like we do a full fashion collection, but after you do the work, then you maybe put some thought into it. Like if it's very sharp, it's like edgy, that kind of thing. Then how, what kind of mood does it give you? What kind of vibe does it give you? Then there are some who happen to use all natural textures like wood and trees and greenery. So is it something can you link this to something about the environment, you know? Then after that, we went into fashion editorials, and which is like magazine desktop publishing, right? They didn't want to use their what do you call it? They didn't want to use their designs. Then I said, okay, just to make it look a bit more professional for the trigger activity, why not we try doing AI? So tell AI I want a fashion photo shoot in a garden, and it's avant-garde, you know, and then as long as it's avant-garde, because that was the theme, right? And so whatever AI spat out, we use that image to
as a background,
as the main page, the cover page. Let's say, yeah. So that one, it became to the point where they didn't even want to use their own designs anymore. So the whole fashion spread, they use all AI. Yeah. So I taught them how to like,
because of the quality matching.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were very much like I said, you can choose what you want to do. You can either use your really nice avant-garde designs, or you can try with the AI. But either way, the skill is different. You know what I mean? Because the avant-garde one is what do you call it? It's more tactile. Then they learn a bit of cutting and all that kind of thing. But then also they see shapes and textures and EOA, POD. But then for the layout, the magazine layout is very much a desktop publishing exercise. So to me, whatever picture you choose, it's up to you to work with it. So all of them chose to do the AI because I think they felt it looked better. So
what age group is this again? Sorry.
Sec 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one was quite. That one wasn't so much for ideation, but it's just to, like, because the main point is their composition layout, right, for each page. But
they wanted a polish. They wanted it to look like the real thing in the real world.
Yes,
and
correct.
Not some paper cut.
Yeah. Okay. Then when I asked them, would you want to like get an AI model? Then we put your clothes on the AI model, you know, like your design. Like we can always crop it out, you know what I mean, and remove the background. Then they're like, no. They just wanted to use the AI. I was like, okay, fine. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose in this instance, the AI granted them a more sophisticated tool to create more realistic,
like the final artwork would
garment,
have been,
as opposed to a more rudimentary with the magazine with the collage.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think the collage looked that bad because of the fact that it was already printed. Like you can't really go wrong. And like I told them, because it's avant-garde, there's no right or wrong. You know, like visually avant-garde. So and if I have to be honest, if I look at the designs that they came up with on the AI versus the designs they came up with on paper, I would say that they did a better job in terms of making it look more, you know,
Which one did they do a better job with?
The collage.
The collage.
Yeah. So also because I think whatever they put into the AI would determine the outcome, right? So the outcome of it, the clothes look a bit less avant-garde than their actual avant-garde pieces. Yeah.
Because the avant-garde pieces were entirely created by them with no reference, no base reference point.
Correct.
Whereas the AI would have been trained on what certain fashion looked like.
Yes. So it's quite like interesting to think of, but and also we actually went through one session of what you should input into the AI. So I had a template written on the board.
Keyword prompts.
Yeah, keyword prompts. And then after that, we also went to look at some. We looked at their work. So we hung their works up on the wall, and we said, okay, let's try describing one person's work. And then so we described it together, and then as they described, I typed it out. So I typed it out into the AI thing. So technically, we're describing this person's work, but feeding that into the AI to see what will come up. So I think this one, I think I can.
Have you tried that with ChatGPT 4.0?
Meaning what?
You feed image, ask it for keyword prompts.
No, I haven't, because that one you got to pay, right?
No. In the morning, it allows you to.
What do you mean in the morning?
No, you get a few free GPT 4.0s.
But can you upload photo? I thought to upload photos you need to
But
pay.
you can only do like 4 or 5 images per day.
Okay. I haven't tried that yet, but now I probably will. But yeah, but we came up together, and I think that part was interesting because they would try to give very funny words, right? And then I said, okay, we look at the shapes, look at the colors, look at the texture. So you see like, oh, big red triangle. Okay, yeah, an outfit with a big red triangle as the main focus. Then what else do you see? You know, what do you see on the arms? What do you see on the legs? What kind of textures do you see? So we came up with the description together, and then I fed it into the AI. And then because my screen was projected onto the board, my screen was projected on the screen. Then after that, then we wait for it lah. So we wait and see what the AI would generate. Yeah. So that part was quite fun. And then
to see how you, in real time, how you are affecting the machine generating.
Because in that one we used Canva.
Right.
Yeah. So Canva has their own AI model, right? And
yes, as does Photoshop.
Yes, correct. So we did that because they were already doing the design on Canva.
Right.
Yeah. So when they use the what is it, the image maker or the magic image or something like that. Yeah. Then it came out in fours. Like you can choose for it to come out in fours. Yeah. Then you can see the similarity. All of them had a big red triangle. Yeah. Right. And then compared to the big red triangle on like the original work.
Yeah.
Then you can say, okay, take a look. Like which one you prefer? Then to rub that person, they'll be like, oh, the AI is so good. You know, the kind of thing. Then we're like, I'm like, okay. But then we also take a look at what the AI missed out. Then did it miss out because our prompt missed it out, or because it was just something that fell through the cracks? Because some parts of it, let's say like the AI only shows up to the torso. Yeah. So that kind of thing is like we do a bit of a back analysis on it.
Okay.
And then we had about a lesson on that, and then after that they were like, we want to use the AI thing. So I was like, okay, fine. Then you'll go. So you have to feed in your own, So they did do that lah. And then after that, they got images come out. But like I said, I don't think they were as avant-garde as the ones that they created.
Of the collage.
I think this one I can share because it's just like a Sec 3 project. Like I can share the images. Yeah. So it's quite it was fun, but also they were very I can't tell what was their, to be honest, right? I can't tell what was their intention in using the AI. Is it easier because you don't have to photograph their work? I still made them photograph it anyways, but that kind of thing. Like I don't know what was their thinking behind their thought process behind choosing the AI. Yeah, but in the end, I feel like.
Do you think they believed that it was just easier?
I think that could be one of the reasons. Okay. And like the polished one, definitely, because if I have to imagine the A3 drawing block that they did the collage on as a cover of a magazine, not so nice. It doesn't have the background, it doesn't have the context, like the photo shoot background is not there.
Yeah.
So I can understand why those of them who were invested in it would have chosen to use the AI instead. Yeah. Like I had one of the students even like did some avant-garde photo shoot, like the prompt was in a train, and it was so interesting. Like it was like a 1 point perspective of a train, and then the model is just like in the center, and then with their text, I was like, oh, actually it's quite funky looking, like funky as in
it's like a substitute for a runway, right?
Yes, correct. So okay, I don't think it went that far in terms of thought process, but but it looked good, So I don't fault them for also choosing the AI because of how much more finished it looks. But design-wise, I would definitely say that they had much more interesting designs than whatever the AI came up with.
Right.
Yeah, whether it's the AI's fault, or, it's not the AI's fault. Like it could be because of the AI, it could be because of the prompt, it could be because of a lot of things. Yeah.
Samantha, thanks very much.
Thank you.
I really look forward to learn of what you will be doing. I mean, I think just like how GAI today is also at its infancy, I think your experiments with it is at its infancy.
Yes.
And it's been really heartening to hear how you're trying to get people on board to study this darn subject called art, right?
Yeah, I mean it's yeah. I mean, most art teachers, I think they would know, like at lower sec, engagement is super important, but we don't always get it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then at upper sec, I think I'm lucky enough to be in a school where we have the AEP program, where at least 90% of them are invested, and that's like a really high number already, right? In like doing well and wanting to learn and everything, but not all schools have that. Yeah, like I've heard from friends and people like sometimes art is not the ideal subject or the ideal subject combination that they want.
Right.
Also because they know it takes up a lot of time, and let's say their skills are not
hard
good enough.
subject.
Yeah, it's a hard subject. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So even intellectually, they think, oh, you just go to art class, sit there, join Apple, that kind of thing. Like, no, like the AI can do that for you now in 1 second. You don't need you shouldn't be doing that. It's more about like the thought process and the thinking that goes behind like your artwork, right? So I think the AI has helped to not only broaden the students' mind but broaden my mind also. Like ever since I tried it, I feel like there's so much possibility for it with the right opportunity, and time. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
Thank
everyone.
you.